I'm out here at Little Prince. I'm with Molly. Molly, it's that time of year that we've been gardening inside and we're moving outside, and you have some amazing planter combinations that you put together. But I'm noticing they're kind of a combination of houseplants and perennials. What gives?
It's time to bring things outside, as we move into May, and it's time to be creative with what we're doing, I think, too, because with the influx of houseplants in this business, we have such a range of material to work with, not just with color, but with texture and seasonality, and we can use things in really surprising ways now that you might not think about doing. So we're sort of in the lab here, experimenting.
Because we are inside the greenhouses here at Little Prince, so it is a little bit humid, so you may get a little bit of that. But Little Prince is growing tons of houseplants. They grow a lot of perennials. They grow a lot of succulents, and you're mixing all of these together. So tell us about some of the combinations that you have here.
Yeah, we've got a couple combos planted up here, and the first bowl here is I wouldn't call this arid, but this is more of a drier side bowl that needs a little bit of shade. So bright shade for this combo would be perfect. And it's filled with things that are a little bit surprising that you might not think about pairing, but work well together. So, we are using a Japanese maple in here, a nice little baby maple. We've got heuchera, and those are things, you might see or put in your pots normally, but we threw a couple surprises in here too. So we've got Libertia, which looks like a grass, but is lily family, right? So this kind of acts as our thriller, right? But even more surprising, we tuck in some kind of succulent things that actually have water requirements that are closer to maybe our maple and our heuchera than you might not, realize. And the first of which, I think the stunner here, are the aeoniums. This is Aeonium velour, a Canary Islands plant. And it's a succulent that actually needs a little bit of shade, or a lot of shade if you're growing a green one. And so its water requirements are closer to the other things in this pot, even though it's technically a succulent. We've also got a vine in here. This is Senecio bryanifolius, and it's kind of a succulent-like vine. And so it pairs with everything else in here. We stuck a little Dicea in the front too. This is a little terrestrial bromeliad. Same kind of water requirements to the things in this pot. It'll pair well in the same kind of light also, which is a little bit shaded.
And then you have another combination of a little bit more of a shade combination.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a shadier combination, and I tucked some moss in there to remind myself that that's what I planted. But we've got a chorus in the back. Again, this is a grass you might use a lot in the Northwest, evergreen, but some surprising other plants in here too. So we've been playing around with a lot of different types of bromeliads here at Little Prince. This is a Neoregelia called Fancy, and it's got a really cool stripe to the leaf. But we've got it in here with more of a house plant or a patio type fern. This is Terrace tricolor. A couple little peperomia in the front, and a little pilea vine. These are all being sold in the house plant sections of nurseries now, but they're all plants that could play very well with other kinds of things with similar light and water requirements and be moved outside probably 3 seasons of the year.
Okay. And then you have a container over here that you're gonna get started on. So let's show us, as you're picking out plants to plant this container, what are you looking for?
Right. For me, I'm not so interested in flower anymore. I am interested in foliage, texture, and color, because that's what carries containers through most of the season. And so here I'm kind of looking for high contrast. I'm going to put together another kind of shady-ish container, but things that need, some shade, bright shade would be preferable, but I'm looking for high contrast here and some unusual combinations. So I'll probably start with this cordyline, another kind of standard
so
container plant.
Start with the focal point and kind of build yourself down.
If I can get it out of here, we're just going to be a little rough with it.
I'll prep some of these.
This is Designaline Burgundy too. This one tends to not be so palm-like. I'm going to rough it up pretty good. And this is going to kind of be my tallest element in here, my thriller.
And so we kind of talked earlier about making sure that they have similar requirements. So you're looking for light requirements and water requirements.
Light and water, right. So I know this one doesn't need to be bone dry. It's okay with things that need a little bit more moisture. Things like begonias, which are almost, you can they don't want to be soggy. They're more on the succulent side almost of houseplants.
Right.
And certain ferns too. This is a polypodium. Some people call this bear's foot fern. I'm going to rip off a chunk of roots here and get it in
so
here.
I can tell as you're digging through here, you're not, you're careful with the plants, but you don't have to be.
You don't have to be
too
totally
gingerly.
careful.
I mean,
And
they're
if you're
pretty durable.
right, if you're dealing with a shallow pot too, spread the roots out so that they can kind of grow and fill that mass.
Okay.
I'll show you one of my kind of secrets of container planting too, especially with a new planter, is sometimes you need 2 plants.
Right.
If you want that fullness and you want that repetition of element. So I'll probably put 2 of these ferns in here to give it some bulk, because
So gives you the size, but if
Yeah.
you're trying to plant a larger gallon or 6-inch thing, you're not going to be able to get the combination.
Right, it's better to squeeze maybe 2 smaller plants in, and you can have, this plant is a little more yellow, this plant's a little fuller. Together they kind of look like one big plant.
Okay, so we're going to finish up the planter here, and then when we come back, let's talk about how we're going to take care of this. Well, this turned out great, Molly. So now that we have this done, what kind of care do we need to going through the rest of spring and summer?
Yeah, I tend to top dress these sometimes just to kind of keep my soil down, but I would use maybe an Osmocote or all-purpose fertilizer when I'm planting, and then maybe a water soluble as needed, maybe once a month or every couple of weeks when we get into the heat of summer and the plants are really needing a lot of food.
And then these are indoor plants and outdoor plants, so we want to make sure these are staying outside. Is that right?
Yeah, they're going to stay outside. It's okay to start transitioning things outside. I think that general rule of thumb is about 50 degrees at night, and you may not want to do it in one fell swoop, especially with how the season's been this year. Maybe gradually out for the day, pop it in the garage at night for a couple days.
And then, we're going to enjoy this all summer long. Come, fall or early winter, what do we do then?
Yeah, I think that's a great thing about this, is you can kind of frog it, rip it apart, and save the elements that are okay to be outside, save your hostas, save your cordylines and things like that. But maybe you want to bring your houseplants back inside and repot them. It's a good time to do that kind of thing.
So people that are looking for, ideas like this and these great plants, Little Prince has an amazing line of plants.
Yeah, we do.
Where can they go to find these plants?
Independent garden centers and littleprinceplants.com.
So, so if you're looking for, the Beau Chateau line of Little Prince house plants or any of the ground covers or the succulents, make sure you go to Little Prince's website, or you can go to gardentime.tv for more information. So, Molly, it's been a pleasure to be out here. Appreciate all the help, and the planters are gorgeous.
Thank you for having me.